Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Teen Talk Podcast, Season 2, Episode 2. I'm your host, Hayden Trowbridge, and it's great to be back. I missed you guys after a long hiatus from podcasting and actually just producing content in general. I've had a lot going on. No excuses, of course, but just like my mind's been all over the place, and I thought that podcasting today and just talking to you guys is the best way to get what's on my mind off of it. And I just recently came back from a trip from Seattle, Washington. I competed in a national convention called STN, National Convention, Student Television Network. And it's where there's a group of about 3,000 kids in over 300 schools. They all come to the convention to compete in multiple contests, whether that's short film, documentary, silent film, podcasting even. And it's just a great collaboration of students, and you get certain time periods. You get 8 hours to produce a story, 5 hours to produce a story, or 6 hours, whatever that may be. And it's really awesome to see young teenagers, right, producing and doing work that you would expect professionals to do. And I came back from that trip really inspired because I realized that I'm not doing enough. And not in a bad way, but I'm not working hard enough. I'm, sitting in bed on my phone for 3 hours at a time when I could instead be doing something productive and telling stories. What I love to do, telling stories, it's my passion. And what I realized at this convention, it was sort of eye-opening, was that these kids that are producing these stories and making these documentaries and, making these short films is I'm the same age and I have the same outlets as them, but they just work harder. And so I obviously want to be the best, right? We should all hope to be the best. And as teenagers, what goes through our mind is, we make excuses a lot, right? And me especially, it's like, oh, I'm so busy. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing with your time? And start planning it out. So I say I'm busy, but I actually have, let's say, anywhere from 3 to 5 free hours during the day that I waste on my phone, watching YouTube, let's say playing video games. And what's cool about that is that I'm having that realization now, and I hope to inspire you guys to sort of get going, and as Nike says, just do it. And so coming back from this convention and sitting here today podcasting, because I've been gone for a while, not posting and not making content, what I've realized is that we all have the incredible opportunity to make connections, make human connection, real, meaningful, authentic connections. And that's what I seek right now. So when I get older, it's what I want to do is I want to meet a new person every day and tell their story. And what's great about the platform that I'm using right now, podcasting, for instance, is that anybody in the world can listen to what I'm saying. I recently had someone contact me from Mexico saying, hey, thank you for your podcast. It's really influential and it's helped me a lot. And sort of understanding what I'm going through, but also what others are going through. And I appreciate it. And first I'm like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. And then I thought even deeper. I'm like, wait a second. That's someone from Mexico contacting me. That's like, for lack of a better term, that's so far away from me. And they're getting my content and they're hearing what I'm having to say. And I just thought that was incredible. And so sort of my tip to you guys and a tip to myself that I need to start following and sort of believing in is that we constantly make excuses to put things off, right? Procrastination in school. We always wait to do our homework to the last minute, turn in our project, write our essay the night before. And I understand that we have busy lives, whether that's with sports, with friends, with just school in general, with family, with boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever that is. But if we have something that we love to do, right? For me, it's telling stories. For others, it's playing a sport. For some, it's math. For some, it's science. For some, it's English. Whatever that may be. Take what you love to do and plot out a certain time for it. For me, it's playing guitar, which I'm learning to do right now, and telling stories. So I need to make time for those. And I understand it's really, really hard to do that sometimes because a lot of the time we're trying to deal with so many things, all the different pressures from your peers, from your parents, from everybody, from your teachers, whatever that may be. But I want you guys to understand that if you have a passion for something and you love to do something, the time for it will present itself. So for me, I get home after whether that's baseball practice or anything like that, and I play 15 to 30 minutes of guitar. Well, I love to play guitar, but I also love to tell stories. And I don't make time to tell people stories. So after coming back from this convention and realizing that there's so many people in the world, and I know that I'm not going to meet all of them, but if I can just meet some and tell their stories, then that's successful to me. Then that's my purpose. That's the purpose of my life, is to meet people and tell their stories. So I want to make time for that. Whether that's through podcasting or making videos or doing documentaries, whatever that may be, it's just the idea that I'm making time for something that I love to do. And so, for instance, I use this all the time, but my friend Donovan Beck, he's one of my great friends, and he's in school right now and in college, but he always finds a time to make a difference, to write, to read, to make artwork, to meditate, to find himself and what he loves to do. And so when I look at him, I always use him as, my mentor, because it seems like he has it figured out, but, it's a joke between me and him. We have no idea what we're doing. We sort of just wing it. He obviously wings it a little better than me, but what I want you guys to realize is that if you love to do something, make time for it. And so that's what I'm going to do now, is I'm making time for this podcast, and hopefully in the future I can start planning out a schedule so it's consistent and you guys can hear the stories of others through this podcast. And I also think it's important for you guys to understand is that, again, I'm just a 16-year-old who's trying to figure it out. And some of you are teenagers, some of you are even adults, and some of you younger. And you're just trying to figure it out. And that's okay. It's okay. It really is. Just work your way through it, and I promise that everything in the end will be great if you're doing something that you love. Obviously an interesting quote, I don't know exactly who it's from, and it's probably a cliche, but if you're doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So if you can find that, that's awesome, and you're set. It doesn't matter if it pays the most, whatever that is. If you love to do something, you'll never work a day in your life. And so that's what I'm trying to find. And I'm obviously not going to find it right now, but I have an idea. And if I keep working towards it, maybe if I speak it into existence, it'll happen. So sort of a recap on what's been going on in my life lately, but also sort of trying to help you guys through what you're going through. So recently, I've actually, at the beginning of the year, like I said earlier, I've been trying to learn guitar, and I love to sing. And so learning acoustic guitar sort of goes hands in hand with singing. And so I've been learning guitar, taking lessons and stuff. So I've been making time for something I love. And I've actually really been enjoying creating and singing and playing guitar. So that's one of the big things that's been going on in my life. But also I've sort of had these realizations and inspirations of what if I was to tell the stories of amazing people. And when I mean by amazing people, I mean anybody, because everybody has a story. So through my school, obviously, I did go to Seattle recently, but I wanted to do something sort of by myself where I start producing and telling stories, because what's awesome is that one day, hopefully, I get to tell yours. Um, and I think that's incredible because just recently I've been talking with, like I said, a new person every day, and I get to hear their stories, and I'm like, wow, the amount of people who have gone through certain things and have had these experiences, it's like I can't even fathom that happening to me. Whether that's losses in the family or, like things that are going through your mental and just things like that. And I realized that the reason why I was put in a position with a voice to tell an audience was because those stories need to be heard. I think one of my biggest things recently is that I feel like there's a lack of human connection in our world. So for about 3 months or so, I deleted Instagram. And so if that's one of the reasons why I wasn't keeping up, or if you guys try to get in contact with me, sorry if I didn't reach you. But I deleted Instagram because it was taking almost 2 to 3 hours of my time every single day. So if I take those 2 to 3 hours and put that into something beneficial and talking to people and making stories, it's just like a whole different, like, I guess a whole different ball game for me, because now I'm doing something that I love. And although social media is very beneficial, it's also very, like, I got this interesting, like, lesson from my teacher. He's like, it's called social media, but is it really making us more social? And think about that. People are only sharing certain parts of their life that they want people to see. But they all have to go home to something, or they all have to deal with something that's not that sort of facade that they put on social media. And so I thought that was really interesting. But it also, social media gets us on our phones. And so what we don't realize is if we're walking down a street and we're on our phones, we're missing everything that's going on around us. We forget the sounds of constructions in the city. We forget the hustle and bustle of people, and we forget what people's, like, the look on people's faces, and just it's weird when you're on. It's I guess it's weird when you take a step back from it, because you start to realize, oh my gosh, I'm missing so much. And so when I took that break, and I sort of took these blinders off, and I allowed myself to experience life without social media, I realized that there's so much in this world that I could be doing, and so much that I could be consuming without, not technology, but without social media. So I recently downloaded Instagram again, and, it's obviously like FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. And I realized that I wasn't really missing much. It was just the same old pictures of people and of, like selfies, I guess you could say, and things like that. But I realized that I think the thing that I missed most about social media was being able to talk to people. And so it wasn't about the pictures and the stories or the Instagram stories and stuff like that. It was about people reaching out to me and me reaching out to people and hearing their stories, like through DMs and things like that. And so what's awesome about taking that break is that you actually have a different appreciation for social media. So I actually challenge you guys, delete social media for, let's say, a month, right? And for the first couple of days, it's really hard. You go to the same spot on your phone where it was deleted, and you're like, oh wait, no, I don't have it anymore. And you start to realize, and you become more cognizant of how much you actually spend on social media. And I wouldn't even say wasting time, but just not using it efficiently. And so, I mean, we say that time is forever, which is true, but you can never get back time. You're never gaining time, you're always losing time. I guess you could put up the argument, oh, but what if you travel back in time? Well, you're still living in the moment, right? Everybody's living in that same moment. So you can never get time back. So why waste it? And I guess that's that's what's really interesting about sort of our generation, or I guess my generation, is that we're so consumed with our phones and with social media and those platforms, which are incredibly beneficial nonetheless. I will say that. They're incredibly beneficial. And so what I think is very interesting is that when I deleted my social media, I ended up disregarding it like entirely. Like I didn't use it at all. I didn't go on my computer for it, besides maybe once just in case to check up on contacts and things like that. But I realized that, like I said earlier, I'm missing so much. And with podcasting and talking to you guys, I can take the time that I would spend on social media to do this platform and talk to you guys. And I guess it's the same with Twitter and Snapchat, because that's my only form of communication with a lot of people. Like I don't use texting, it's Snapchat for me. And so I even had an urge to delete that and sort of get rid of that. And I still don't know if I'm going to. But what I urge you guys to do is just take a month break from social media, from all the drama and all the stigma around it. And realize, is it really benefiting you? Like, do you really need it? Think about that. Do you really need social media, or were you fine without it? Imagine life without social media. It would probably be very similar. It would probably be very different at the same time. But I would like to see your guys' like reaction to it, because when I did it, it sort of made me realize that I'm missing out on so much, and I don't want to miss out on much. I only have one life, and I want to live it to the fullest. So you should live it to the fullest as well. Another thing that I wanted to talk about today was inspiration. And so I'm going to refer to STN again in Seattle, where I realized on this trip that I'm capable of so much. And so are you guys. You guys are capable of incredible things. So once I had that realization, again, I started thinking and on what could I do to be better? What could I do? What am I not doing? And then I realized that I'm just not doing it to my fullest potential. I need to keep creating. I need to keep producing. And I need to keep meeting people and telling their stories. And what's awesome about these sort of mediums, whether that's YouTube or Anchor, podcasts, things like that, is that I'm so close to everybody in the world. All I have to do is post something and anybody can view it. So I'm very close to everybody, even though they're millions or thousands of miles away. And that's a really scary but really cool thought in a way, because I can reach out to someone in India, or like I said, someone in Mexico, and not even know them, but they're hearing my message. And so finding this inspiration, I know it's really difficult for us teenagers to sort of get in the swing of things and really miss out on a lot, because we have this schedule, we got to stick to it. We have school, sports, homework, sleep, repeat. School, sports, homework, sleep, repeat. And we sort of get caught in this cycle, and we forget to differentiate that cycle, and we get like caught in the monotony of life. And that's scary because, like I said, we only have one life to live. So why not live it to its fullest potential? And recently I've been taught in my English class, we're learning about transcendentalism, right? And that's living life to its fullest potential. Obviously, there's a book that a famous transcendentalist, I believe it was Ralph Waldo Emerson, he wrote, and he went into a cabin in the woods, and he has a quote in his book, and it says, "I went to the woods to live life deliberately." And living life deliberately isn't going to the woods and appreciating, nature and things like that. Living life deliberately is doing what you love, right? For me, like I said, it's podcasting and telling stories. So living life deliberately isn't going to the extreme of isolating yourself, but it's doing what you love and inspiring others to do what they love. That's for me, at least. For some, it may be, I want to be an astronaut or I want to be a scientist, so I'm going to do whatever it takes, whether that's take extra classes to learn about it or read about it and go on YouTube and search up physics videos so that I can learn how to be the best scientist that I can possibly be. So living life deliberately isn't necessarily just this huge idea of, like I said, deleting social media and all this stuff. Like that might help, but it's understanding that you only have one life to live. And you should do everything that you possibly can in this one life to live it and not waste it. And what's really cool about transcendentalism is that you can interpret it in many different ways. It doesn't have to be so extreme, but it's living life deliberately and learning about the essence of life, which is doing what you love. And so I encourage you all to find something that you love, because doing something you love is the most important thing in this world. And that brings me on to my next topic, where one of the other really important things in our world is human connection. For me, human connection has played a huge part in my life because when I was younger, I never really had that. Like, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was sort of the lone soldier, I guess you could say. And as I grew up, I sort of got into friend groups and stuff, which I belonged in, but I always felt like an outsider. And now in high school, it's changed a lot because I'm in groups, and I love my friends and all that. But I still feel like there's something else that I'm missing, right? I feel like there's this human connection that I'm missing. And when I'm telling people stories through journalism, that's when I feel like I'm complete, right? I feel that I'm doing everything that I possibly can and doing what I love to do. So I have this story where if you put someone on an island by themselves with no one else nearby, they'll live there for a little bit and they'll try and survive, but they'll always feel alone. There's alone and then there's lonely. Being alone is like you feel like there's nobody there, and then lonely is there's people around you, but you just feel as though there's a disconnect. And so this person on this island feels alone. And pretty soon, one thing happens after another, and that person they lose that sense of human connection. But on the flip side, what if you were to put two people on the same island? They would end up coming together. They would make a house. They would make a fire. They would produce on this island, and then they would make a boat. They would then sail that boat to another island and meet the people on that island. And I think what's cool is that humans need human connection. That is our greatest form of happiness, is meeting people and forming connections with those who we haven't met yet. And I guess there's a YouTube channel called Yes Theory, which I love, and they have a line that says, "A stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet." And I believe in that heavily. We get caught up in, I'm so scared to say hi to that person that's sitting alone by themselves. Even I do. I can talk in front of thousands of people on a stage, let's say. But as soon as someone's by themselves, I get so anxious and I get caught up in my own head. Oh, what are they going to think of me? And, what if this, what if that? But I never ask the question, what if they need me? What if they're having the worst day of their life and I walk past them? I mean, think about that. We have the ability to interact and make a human connection with someone, but we get so caught up in our head and we're so scared that we might pass up an opportunity to meet someone new that really needs us. And so, what I encourage everybody is to just meet a new person every day, and that's what I do. Like, meet a new person every day. All you have to do is say hi. I mean, imagine every day in the morning, you see the same person, right? And you say, good morning, have a great day. Good morning, have a great day. One more time. Good morning, have a great day. Every single day for a month, right? And then one day you walk past them and say, good morning, have a great day. And they say, why do you do that? And then you might say, why do I do what? And like, why are you so nice? And you always say good morning to me and you don't even know me. And I said, well, I just wanted to say good morning and I hope you have a great day. And they're like, you have no idea how much that means to me. Last month, I lost my closest family member, my grandpa. He basically raised me. And every morning he would call me and say, good morning, have a great day. And you saying that filled that void. And every day I went home, I would cry because someone actually cared. And no one else besides you came to me and wished me a good morning or asked if I was okay. So I appreciate that. Obviously, this is all hypothetical, but just imagine that connection that you can make with someone. And that's what I hope to do. I hope to make an impact. If I can just impact one person, that's a success. So I hope you guys did enjoy this podcast. It feels great to be back. And if you guys have any questions, please DM me or contact me on any of my social medias because I want to hear your guys' stories. So I hope you guys all have an incredible day. And I'll see you guys in the next podcast. Peace out.